We hope you're looking forward to these upcoming titles. This next video will be our last announcement. Please take a look.
GX. Fuck! Yeah, what you just saw was an accurate reenactment of my real reaction to the Nintendo Direct an hour ago. I just watched it. I just got done watching it. It looks like this time I had to eat my veggies. They treated me a little bit too good last time. There's there's a little too much Scrimble Bimble, a little too much Mario. Obviously couldn't last. Now, there was a little bit of JRPG, a little bit of farming game. Honestly, not as much as it could have been. That's not even what I want to talk about. I could not help but be startled by the fucking volume of remakes, re-releases, remasters, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I pulled up this list from GamesRadar.com. There's 33 announcements total. I skimmed it a little bit. This is not properly researched at all. I counted 15 games that were first announced here. So I excluded stuff that was obviously a port or stuff that was an update on a previously announced game. But then there's some stuff for example, the League of Legends stuff, I wasn't exactly sure if that was already announced, right? I'm not gonna double check that shit. So a charitable count of 15 newly announced games. And then of those, 7 were re-releases, remakes of some kind, right? And obviously from the opening bit, you could see that, yeah, I mean, to some extent, that is something that I want as well, right? I think F-Zero GX, that's something that's been heavily rumored. I still think it's happening. I think that has merit, right? The idea of, oh, I can finally play the super technical, competitive game online in some capacity. That sounds awesome, right? And everybody has a game like that selfishly, that feels like it makes sense to them, right? Whatever. The thing that I'm trying to sort of wrestle with, untangle, and it's probably not even that complex. I made a video about remakes and the nature of that 4 years ago, I think, at this point. That is, by the way, the most recent fully scripted video I did on this channel. The current title is "Are video game remakes bad for the industry?" Not a serious question, obviously that was fucking clickbait. So one of the major things I explore in that video is that games are inextricably tied to the format that they release in, more so than other mediums. Obviously there's some characteristics of the tech that a certain piece of art is like produced with, created with, that you can still feel in a modern iteration of that with music or film or whatever, blah blah. But the thing with games, there's such an insane inconsistency between the hardware being used, the input method being used, and I mean, one of the first games that they announced in this Direct was Another Code. It was a bundle of the 2 Another Code games, the first game known as Trace Memory in the US. And one of the first things that sticks out to you with that first game specifically is, wow, it uses the Nintendo DS, which when it came out was this insanely fresh console, right? This really neat new way to experience games. This game used that format really extensively, right? And that was, I mean, yeah, you could say it's a gimmick, right, and blah, but that was what was sort of exciting and unique about it. And to this day, you look at it and you think, oh, she literally has a DS in the game, man, like, come on. And once you remake that into this, like, I literally, I said this on Twitter, there's the nostalgic part of my brain that's like, Another Code, like, such a random thing to bring back, and Ashley is so cool, and blah, blah, blah. But it like now that you've ported it to a normal video game console, it just looks like any other game, right? And obviously they're gonna think of new puzzles to, I mean, look like it's new puzzles. It look like they're not just remaking the old puzzles or whatever. I think that is the best approach probably to do it. I just feel like you're sort of missing the point by doing it this way, right? Like maybe that kind of thing is left better in the past. Maybe you should think of a new way to use the current format that we're using. HD screens, fucking motion controls, whatever. I mean, I guess that's what they're doing, but like it is a remake, right? So I don't know. Now, I haven't gone back to observe how people reacted to the stuff, but the thing I really want to talk about is I just know that 1000 Year Door trailer, I mean, they put it at the end for a reason, right? They knew that that was the big pop-off moment. They knew Arlo was gonna fucking come. And I'm sort of left wondering, like, in a really petty and irrational way, I'm left wondering, would they have the same reaction to a new Paper Mario? Which, okay, you may think there's all these reasons to be more excited for this, right? Obviously, you already love this game, and just having it in your life again is a cozier feeling than getting a totally new Paper Mario that you might not know if it's gonna be good, right? Like, that seems kind of rational. Except, dude, a Nintendo Wii is like 20 euro on eBay. Dolphin is free. If you really love this game so much, you could play it right fucking now, right? There's nothing stopping you from doing that. And this exact thing is something I said 4 years ago in that exact video that I mentioned. Where it is just this cynical way of generating hype that doesn't really correlate to genuine interest, I think. I think if you had genuine interest in a lot of these games, it's not actually that difficult to seek them out. Now, maybe I'm overestimating what, like, normies are willing, the lengths normies are willing to go to play a video game. But even, that's the thing, when I say this kind of stuff, I'm exposed to a specific bubble, right? And I'm saying all this with reactions from people I know in mind, right? From people who I know, yeah, you know how to download a fucking emulator. You know how to buy a Wii on eBay. It's not hard. And again, as I also was trying to untangle in that video, it just gets into this whole rigmarole, into this cycle of these sorta useful but sorta half-assed re-releases. I'm looking at this Tomb Raider collection, and I haven't super closely observed it, but it seemed like even in this classic graphics mode, some stuff is a little bit off. The faces still look slightly different. It ran at an HD resolution, which obviously inherently is not faithful, right? You see it with this Metal Gear Solid re-release, the Metal Gear Solid HD Master Collection. Yeah, that's what it's called. It's based on an older version of the same thing, but the way they're emulating it or re-releasing it or redoing it is sort of fucked, and it's leading to all these technical problems. And again, this kind of thing happens because our track record with backwards compatibility and this kind of thing is super spotty. Again, we have this super amazing HD re-release on PS3 and 360 by Bluepoint. But then if you want to carry that forward, to some extent, you have to start from scratch again. Even if you have access to those libraries, even if you have access to the code, Bluepoint is owned by Sony now. So I couldn't even imagine what logistically the process there looks like, right? You can also look at stuff like Final Fantasy, right? The Final Fantasy re-releases over the years, and how there's no single perfect version. They call it the Pixel Remaster, and it felt like it was done with the specific intent of, okay, this is the last version you'll ever need, this is the perfect one, blah blah blah. And it's not that. It actually still is flawed. And again, because our whole approach to remaking, re-releasing stuff it feels like it's more caught up in generating that hype and that excitement versus actually providing an easy way to play a video game. You'll always be stuck in the cycle of starting a port from scratch, fucking something up along the way, trying to learn from the next one, maybe have a console that's not backwards compatible again, right? It's a fucking mess. And it's just sort of troubling to me just how much... I mean, I think, again, my count earlier was charitable, very charitable, and even with that, half the stuff was remakes, right? Half the new stuff that they talked about. You can sort of rationalize the reasons for this in the video game space, specifically, again, with everything that I explained about hardware and formats and blah, blah, blah. A re-release to some extent is necessary, but it's hard not to see some sort of thread to our larger culture there as well, because again, if you look at everything that's popular in the cinemas, how Disney's dominating, and how the entire Disney business model seems to be, okay, I want to remind you of this thing that you know, and this thing that you know, and that thing that you know, and oh, if you want to watch that thing, you need like 3 seasons of background from this fucking shitty Disney Plus exclusive show. Like, is this what we are now? Is this what it is? I don't know, man. I don't have a great conclusion or original deep thought on this. Whatever. Like, I just want to know, am I crazy? What do y'all think? Thank you.